that's not only putting yourself in the environment, but having the intention that this is a long game. And the same thing, people will do one open house, Garrett, they'll be like, I didn't get anything from it. I'm like, okay, we'll do another one the next week. Maybe try doing one Saturday and Sunday, because the volume does matter at some point. You're not going to get the right now in the short term. Like it just never comes up that way. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. I'm Matt Pinelli. He's Garrett Fry. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We have a really fun topic that we're going to dive into on today, talking about the long play. And before we get into that, just want to remind you guys, this podcast reaches people thanks to you guys sharing it. So if you get value out of this, go ahead and screenshot it, post it into your Instagram stories or wherever you like to post stuff. Tag myself and Garrett in there. Let us know what you're doing while you listen to the podcast. Leave a review if you don't mind. And if you're on YouTube, definitely hit that like and subscribe button and drop a comment of what your biggest takeaway is from these episodes, because it's about what you catch from these things, not what we are sharing with you, because what's caught is what actually gets implemented. So that's my pitch for you guys this morning. Garrett, good morning to you, man. I'm excited to talk about what we got going on here today.
I wish there was a way to track like how much information we drop and how much people are like, they actually retain and they like get, and they're like, oh, I got that one. It's like, I think it's like a 80, is it an 80-20 rule? Can we apply that? Probably 20% they take and retain and run with. 80% is just, it's just words.
I do know this. If you apply what you hear, and I know this from my own listening habits of podcasts, like, cause I listen to a lot of podcasts and I'm like, oh, cool. That's good. If I actually take action with it, whether it's like I text you or I text Sarah, I'm just like, hey, wait, I just listened to this. And this is something that I think we should pay attention to. It stays in my brain versus if I just listen and then move on with my day. So dropping a comment on a YouTube is probably a good way to just help you retain the information too. I'm just saying, you know,
you could probably just take that 80-20 rule. Okay. 20% was actually probably retained and listened to the podcast. Take that, whatever was retained, and then say, okay, put the 80-20 rule on top of that again. There's probably another 20% in there that you actually take action with, which is, what is that? Like 5% of what you might, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we do have a topic today. We should go that way, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the long play, Matt, and this is something that a lot of people get themselves into a lot of trouble with trying to build a relationship or referral based business. And we just had Jeff Smith on, so if anybody missed that episode, it's awesome. You should go check on that one, because he's very much a relationship style business. We're going to be having Ted Bash here coming up, which is another one who's very, very, very much a relationship style business. And I think it's one of the most damaging things that people have when trying to build a relationship business, Matt, where they don't understand the long play that's involved. And we get into this immediate gratification, where's the win right now, that can be so damaging to building a long-term relationship business. So I'm excited to kind of go down through this path with you today.
And I think the and on that too is and building a long-term business period, because what we find is people, particularly in real estate, they're like, I need business right now, right? So like, who are the right now buyers and sellers that I can find? And what happens is people get into this mindset of like, I need to find immediate business. So they start to, whether intentional or not, ignore the relationships where maybe business has come from in the past. And they're like, oh, my referrals are slowing down. It's like, well, have you changed your pattern and how you're paying attention to people? And the other thing is you actually miss the right now business because you're so focused on what's the latest strategy to get right now business that you never get consistent in something that maybe could find right now business, right? Like we were just talking yesterday, Garrett, on the 11 Circle. We went and we're diving into AI and talking about all these things. And you and I were like, hey, this little strategy here that we've developed using ChatGPT, what if you use this for, expired listings to add some value to those people? And I could totally see somebody taking that and being like, cool, I'm going to use this, forget about the rest of their people, and then do that for a week and it doesn't work and be like, oh, this doesn't work, instead of leaning into it and being consistent with it to find the right now business. And I think this is the challenge when people want the immediate stuff, is you actually miss the immediate stuff because you never give anything room to actually work, if that makes sense.
Well, we're kind of built into it nowadays. We want that immediate dopamine fix. We want that immediate, like, there's the piece of business, I just got it, or it's like I just saw it out there. Like I love it when I'll ask them, I'm like, did you get a referral this week or any business? And they're like, oh yeah, somebody told me they passed my name to somebody else. And internally there, you can watch them go, it's working. Like the business is working. Like I'm like, that is not business. Like, the chance of that turning into business for you actually is really low of people. I mean, that's great that people are passing your name around. They're talking about you out there, but like, we can't lock on that as the win. And so when you look at this relationship style business and really getting into building these quality connections and, long-term relationships, you can't have the hook in there. You can't have that little voice in the back of your head going like, I need business, so I'm hoping this is going to kind of turn into business here at some point in time because I got to unlock it right now. And you constantly need to be looking and saying, okay, let me stop for a second. Is there potential business there right now? 100%. Let's just put that on the table, is that there is potentially, that person could sit there and say, Matt, we need your help right now. Funny we're talking. We need your help. My spouse lost their job. We're going to need to make a change. It is right there. I'm not saying you just got to wait forever for it to come. It is right there. The numbers, if you talk to enough people every single day, every single week, you will unlock opportunities 100%. But when you choose to take a group, whether we use Dunbar's number or whatever, and say, this is my long play group, oh my gosh, the safety and security of a business that you will build long-term is something like I have never seen before. That's why I'm excited to have Ted on. Ted has built like a safe and secure business off this group of people that he has had to put in a lot of time and a lot of energy. He didn't have to wait to be successful, but it has given him this platform and foundation because it is truly about the relationships. It is truly about how much he cares about these people, and they can feel it. Like, they know it. We're very smart individuals out here, everybody. Like, we can feel when somebody is being fake, phony, or they're just here. And I think that's why a lot of people fear being a salesperson, Matt.
It is why a lot of people fear being a salesperson. And at the same time, you see those same people say, but I need something right now. And then they make a judgment call. And I think this is where we misstep. We make the judgment call and saying, well, you know what? Garrett's not ready to buy or sell. I'm terminating this conversation and moving on. And it's like, well, how do you know that? Because the only way you would know it for sure is if Garrett actually said, if you said to me, I don't want to buy or sell real estate and I don't want to do it with you. And I don't know a single person who's experienced that level of conversation unless they really piss somebody off. And so in which case you have no idea what they want to do. So why not have the intention of building a long-term relationship with the person in front of you? Because maybe they do. We just haven't uncovered the pain or pleasure associated with that drive. And if you bring them into your world, they could be another person who sits into your marketing program, another person who potentially rises up into that Dunbar number at some point and can just offload referrals like no other into you. Like, this is the beauty of real estate and this is what I heard when I got into the business over a decade ago, was like, everybody is a potential customer. Right? Which is overwhelming in a way, because that puts you in the mindset of like, well, everybody is a potential customer. I have to identify who needs to buy and sell. Instead, everyone is a potential relationship that can grow your business. If you look at it that way, it's like, oh, I just need to build good relationships and lean in with intention of providing long-term value. And the people who need to do something right now are going to just raise their hand, be like, hey, by the way, right? And those are the opportunities that we want to be ready for. But if you're always thinking about, I need to find the next target, you're never going to even see those things.
Well, because what happens is, like, we'll have a great conversation. You and I will be talking, and you're telling me about Victoria out playing in the snow and you pulling her around on the sled. And the back of my brain's going like, Matt doesn't need to buy or sell right now. Like, what am I doing here with him right now? And you're going, oh my gosh, she was so cute. We were doing this, and it reminded me of when we used to live up north when I was a kid, and we used to have these, be in the snow and ski and do all this life, which you shared all this with me.
Yeah.
And I'm not listening to you. Because my brain is going, what am I doing with Matt right now? Like, this is great. Okay, great. Yeah, Matt just keeps chatting away and he's talking, but I really need to be focusing on where's a real buyer, where's a real seller right now. I know that I'm supposed to be doing this relationship stuff and I'm supposed to be talking to a certain amount of people per week and writing these notes. But who should I really be writing to that is going to be giving me business right now? God, Matt's still talking. Dude just keeps talking about his kids. Okay, get it, dude. Yeah, maybe who should I have lunch with maybe later this week that would be a potential business? We've tuned out this amazing opportunity for you to feel that I have care and concern or understand that I have care and concern. And by the way, I'm proving to you that I don't by not listening to you, by not paying attention. And then we wonder why this relationship business isn't working out quite the way that everybody talks about. Like, I think it's like this trap you can get into. And then that little voice goes, you know what? Building a relationship business is long. It's hard. You got to wait forever for it to come about. And believe me, if you don't care about the relationships that you're building, it could take forever to turn into something. And you'll give up on it way before that. You'll never see the success around it. You'll go find something else to go do.
Yeah. And you know what?
Luckily, there's other stuff.
Building a business does take time.
Yeah.
It does. Now, how much time is always the question. I love when people say, I'm getting into real estate. How long can I expect? Like, how long will it take for me to get traction? It's like, well, it really depends on your intention and what you want to put into it, because you could take that same scenario you just talked about, right? The conversation's not going to take any more or less time. Like, we could have that conversation. You could be disconnected. The relationship doesn't develop. I may not even know it. I may be like, cool, I had a fun chat with Garrett. Tell him about my kids, right? The problem is what happens after. If you've mentally turned off and said, Matt doesn't need to buy or sell, and you just push that to the side, there's no chance at me getting into your marketing world, getting on your emails, getting on your postcards, unless you remember to put me on it, which you won't, because you just said Matt doesn't need to buy or sell. And then it also shuts down the referral opportunity, because I don't even know when the next time we're going to talk is, right?
Yep.
And I shouldn't have to know. We just have a natural conversation, right? And so maybe you extend the conversation a little bit longer because you're intentional. So it takes a little extra time, but maybe a minute or two. Then you go back and you say, now, how do I enhance this relationship? What can I do to bring value to Matt? And by the way, this is true. On my street, 6 houses have been listed and sold in like the last 4 or 5 months.
There's
now
a lot of property moving around.
Yeah. So it's like, gosh, if I was connected with Matt and he's connected with his neighborhood, like maybe there's opportunity there. And yeah, there could be. Now, I didn't know any of those people necessarily personally, but the point is, if you're focused on the relationship, it's just another person you bring into your world that could create opportunity for you, because maybe I would get on your email and your postcard list and I'd see something of value and I'd share it into my neighborhood Facebook group or among my neighbors when I'm chatting with them and I hear about somebody saying we're thinking of moving, or I see the pods or the moving trucks that are in front of other people's houses who I see when I'm out walking. That's what's missed. And that is the right now business, Garrett. That's the funny part, is like, if you have the long-term focus, the right now business is all around you. Usually what we see, if we're only focused on right now business, we see the business that just happened. Yep. And then we tell ourselves, gosh, I keep missing out. I keep missing out. I keep missing out. And then that compounds into this non-conscious belief system that you're not worthy of any right now business. And then that changes your habits. And we go into this spiral. I'm picturing that image that Ryan shared with us on our Success Lab the other day of the downward spiral that's happening. And it's like, we need to get into that upward spiral.
Well, you made the comment of like, how long does this take to happen? Like, how long does it take for this business to happen? And it's a really hard question to answer, as you said. And a lot of it is, I would say, it's up to you. Like, how long do you want this to take? Like, you can make it take forever. And this is specifically, I'm going to lean into just to building relationship style businesses. You can make it take a long time, or you can actually propel it faster by finding people that have like and common interest around you, getting yourself involved in different organizations, different places. We talk about Cars and Coffee. If I was getting into real estate right now in Redding, California, I would be at every Cars and Coffee, every car meet, because I can talk cars with people. I can have those conversations. They know I'm real about it. I know people that would say, you know what, my place is church. That's where I'm going to be spending a lot of my time. I'm going to be very engaged in my community there and helping out with any type of classes or things I can get involved with to help kids or help people. Like, that's where I'm going to spend my time. But you got to put yourself in the environment. I remember when I was very fortunate that when I got into real estate, my dad was a national trainer and instructor and worked specifically on building relationship style businesses. And one of the things he said was, you got to get out and talk to people. Like, that was it. Like, he didn't say, go look for business. He didn't say, go look for somebody who's thinking about buying or thinking of selling. He goes, you need to be out talking to people every single day. And the number that a lot of people use is like, well, I got to be talking to 50 people per week. And my brain went into like, what if you talk to 50 people per day? Would that be more productive or less productive than talking to 50 people per week? Well, okay, am I going to talk to 50 people per day? Probably not. That's a lot of people, but it could be done. Turns into a full-blown, like, that is your job out talking to 50 people. I had a database of 3 people, 4 people when I started in real estate in a new town that I really had not engaged in at all. And I had to get really creative. And what I found for myself was, if my number one job is meeting people and connecting with people, I went through all the storefronts. I would just walk in the afternoon. I'd go out for a walk. I'd go to every storefront. I'd meet the people that were working there. I'd introduce myself to the owners. I did not say, hey, I'm Garrett. I'm a realtor in town. I'm thinking about buying, helping people buy and sell real estate. I asked them, how long have you been here? What made you start this store? How has it been, running this business on this corner for this many years that you've been here? What have been your best years? What do you attribute that to? And having just some real conversations with them. I met so many people in the town of Grants Pass just by doing that type of stuff, which is where my business started to come out of, because all of a sudden I'd be at the kennel dropping my dog off. And sure enough, Sandy, who's behind the counter there, who's the owner, because my brain was like, every time I'm in here, I'm going to connect with Sandy, see how she's doing. I would send her my postcards, because every single person that I started building these relationships with got my postcards. And all of a sudden I walk in, I'm dropping my dog off, and she goes, oh, Garrett, hold on, wait, don't leave yet. Don't leave. I know you guys got to go, but JR in the back needs your help. She's wanting to buy a property. And this is how this works. This is how this comes about. But you got to remove that connection of, I'm going to talk to Sandy right now because hopefully there's a piece of business here. And if I ask the right questions, it's going to unlock it. It will unlock. And that's the beauty of how this works. And Matt, I know you want to talk, but I'm going to throw in one more thing here. If you want to go out right now and see a deer, go walk out in the forest. Like, put yourself in an environment that's going to make that happen. There are so many places you can go to and be like, the chances of me seeing a deer right now are non-existent. It's just not going to happen. I could probably stand here for a month and no deer are going to cross my path. I guarantee you, come to my house, walk out in the backyard. We might see a handful today, because that's putting yourself just into an environment. And then you go, oh my gosh, there's deer all around me. Like, Are there always deer out there? Well, you're in the right environment. And in relationship, referral-based business, get yourself around people. That's where we'll call deer as real estate, they just kind of hang out there. They kind of work together.
And it works that way with almost every single business. It's amazing. Yeah. Like and this is where, if you want to be successful in real estate, but you don't like people, you may want to choose a different profession. Because you're gonna have some challenges there, because not only do you need to work with people to attract the business, you kind of got to work with people to do the business. And Garrett, you're so spot on the environment, and it's like, if you develop, this gets into the whole picture of long-term value, having your marketing campaigns that are providing that long-term value, and your mindset of saying, hey, I'm not just looking to do transactions. Now, interesting kind of other path here. I had a conversation with a gentleman, maybe this is a few months ago, and great successful business off of Zillow leads, right? And people are like, oh, Zillow leads, that's not relationship based. It's like, well, it depends on your intention, right? It was, hey, we didn't have a lot of network, and like, these are people out there who are interested in doing business. How do we develop a relationship with them? And he had a really amazing conversion rate when he told me. I was like, wow, that's like that's really good. Can you just do more of that? Can you just scale that? Because clearly you're doing something that other people aren't because of how they view those quote leads, and you view them differently. The challenge though was, he's like, I really want to do more relationship stuff. I'm like, well, how many people are in the database? Oh, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. It's like, oh gosh, well, what do you do? Nothing. Oh, well, if the intention was that they came in, if they didn't convert, then they just kind of sit over here. Well, okay, our intention was they're not a right now piece of business. They don't need attention. And this is where structurally for your business, you can develop as you grow all these different systems that can help support these relationships. And that way your time, when we look at our time, like your time is best spent as an individual on the relationship side, developing, nurturing, phone calls, face-to-faces with the vital few, that Dunbar number, your community, and then you have systems to handle the rest. And then there will be plenty of right now business all around you. Otherwise, we have to do what you said, Garrett, is like find the environment, go into the forest to find the deer. Well, if you want the right now buyers and sellers, you then probably should figure out how can you host open houses, whether it's for your listings or for other people. It's how do I develop a really great program to go reach out to people who maybe were listed and didn't sell. But the intention has to be when you're in those venues, I'm going to develop these relationships. Because if you're a hunter and you go into the forest and you're like, I want to see deer because I'm going to go hunt some deer. And you just think I'm going to go today and I'm going to get a deer. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Take a page out. I was talking with John Montgomery, whom we had on the podcast. And he's like, when I go hunting, he's like, my deer stands are designed for me to stand because I need to be focused the entire time because it's a long play. If I just go in thinking that I'm just going to wait for a deer to pop up and it's going to be great, if I'm not ready, it ain't happening. He's like, so I'm there 12 hours a day standing. I don't know if it was full 12 hours standing, ready to go. And he does it multiple times, right? That's not only putting yourself in the environment, but having the intention that this is a long game. And the same thing, people will do one open house, Garrett. They'll be like, I didn't get anything from it. I'm like, okay, we'll do another one the next week. Maybe try doing one Saturday and Sunday because the volume does matter at some point. You're not going to get the right now in the short term. Like it just never comes up that way.
But okay, so going back to you saying like, if you don't like people, you're in the wrong industry. And some people go, well, if I don't really like people, I'll just convert Zillow leads. That'll be my thing because I don't want to build relationships. But here's the interesting thing, Matt. Anybody who I know that is converting Zillow leads, what they are is they are masters at actually creating trust and communication in a very short amount of time. They're masters at it. Yep. Because what you're trying to do is the only way to be able to convert that lead is you need to find a way to actually have them set up a meeting with you to be able to sit down and to go through stuff. Because you're not going to convert them and sell a home through some texting back and forth or a chat that you're having with them or even picking up the phone and talking to them. No sale is going to happen right there. Trust and confidence in who this person is that I'm talking to needs to be developed amazingly fast. Yeah, which is a gift and an ability that some people have that convert a lot of those leads. And then you turn it into a relationship. Now, whether they hold on to that relationship long term or they go, you know what, I'm so damn good at just building these quick relationships. Give me another lead. Give me another one. I want another one. Give me that. Here, boom, I turned it into business. And I get it. It's not a long-term play for a lot of people because internet leads can kind of come and go with different marketplaces. Sure. And the winning strategy I look at is if you're good at that, can we also develop this long-term relationship? It's not a gift that both people have. You can't necessarily always have both sides. Same thing with open houses. You said, we'll do more. Well, I consider open houses all day long and watch a real estate agent that does not have that ability of building a quick trust, confidence, and rapport with somebody. And they are just like letting people come in and they're trying to ask questions to them. And you can watch the person going, okay, yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Hey, thanks. We're good. No, hey, we're okay. We're just going to go now. Like we actually live in the neighborhood. We're not buying. We're just living in the neighborhood. Oh, okay, great. And they're running out the door. And it's like, they can feel your energy coming off of you, that you're not there to provide safety, care and concern for who they are, what they got going on. You're there looking for a sale and they know it and it's uncomfortable. But the ones that are masters at building that quick relationship, building that trust, Randall O'Dowd, I've shared him for years. He was a master at building, is a master at building trust, care, and concern at open houses. And you wonder why he blows open houses up all the time.
Well, I think these are all skills too. Like these can be learned. At that said, if you're not willing to learn it and at the core you don't like people and interacting and you're unwilling to overcome whatever limiting belief has put you in that state, it doesn't matter whether you're handling a Zillow lead or, your neighborhood bartender. You're going to have trouble building a business. And so you need to get over that limiting belief or change your role in the industry. That's fine too. I do want to highlight another example too, because Melissa Herdman's been in our world a long time, and she does about 100 deals a year in Kansas, and she built her business on Zillow leads back when Zillow leads were more expensive. Because now she has her core people.
Just have given you a hard time.
Yeah, I know. Well, but what's interesting is it's developed into, when we first started, she was still doing some, it ended up coming off, and she does about 100 deals a year. So arguably a pretty big database. She's been in the business for a while, but she still just maintains her small core group is like her core sphere of influence. And she's still doing this high volume of deal without having to pay for Zillow leads or anything, because her whole intention all the time, even when she started, was I want it now. She's a nurse by trade too. So she has that natural care and concern for people. She's really good at it. But what I use her as an example is that the method isn't the point, whether it's a Zillow lead, an open house, your postcard campaign. It is your intention and your focus, as what you brought this topic, Garrett, of being able to look at it as a long-term relationship, because ultimately no one gets into real estate. Well, maybe people get into real estate for a quick hit, but usually people stay because I can build a sustainable business. This is the intention to do it with.
Yeah. And I think the minute you understand that it's an interesting business, because almost everybody you talk to is potentially going to need your service that you provide at some point in time.
Yep.
It's different than a heart surgeon. It's like, yeah, they have a specialty, they have something that they're really good at, and people will come to the hospital and they're like, hey, we need to connect you with Dr. So-and-so because they're going to take care of you for this special procedure. A heart surgeon never goes around going, I'm going to build all these relationships because when somebody needs, they're going to come to me. It's like, it's a very different type of thing of how many people are going to need that service. Almost everybody. I can walk around town for the next, 5 hours today and go up to people individually. Do you own a home? Do you own a home? The numbers are going to be staggering of the people that I'm going to bump into that own homes in this town. Or if you even want to go farther, live in a home. The numbers are there in your favor. And so it's like, when you understand that, stop looking for the sales, stop looking for that person that you're going to be able to buy or sell with, and just know these people are going to need my help. I just need to start building in my relationships, strengthening these relationships. It's the number one thing you can be focusing on. So,
well, and I'll even argue on the heart surgeon side of it is it's just a different method of the volume and the content and the things. Cause heart surgeons are probably not going to run a postcard campaign or things like that. But if they run their own practice, the hospital that they work at, they're working all the time to build reputation, right? And as a heart surgeon, just like a realtor, you want to make sure you're really good at your craft so that you have great reviews. Now you can mess up a listing. You probably can't mess up a heart surgery and get another repeat client out of that, so to speak. And we hope we don't have repeat clients in that venue, but And maybe you don't have to be the perfect people person. However, the principles still apply in terms of the value you bring and the intention that you have. No one gets into going down the path of being a heart surgeon because this is going to be a really quick way to earn a buck, right? I don't think so. It's like, oh wait, I have to go to school for how many years before I can even actually earn some money? And so you're in it for the long haul, right? The intention has already been laid through your education that this is a career. We are going long-term on this. And then they also focus on building those reputations. So I think there is an interesting correlation in the mindset that exists between some of these professions that, we say, oh, it's different. And it is. It's totally different. Don't get me wrong. This is totally different. But there is still something to be learned. So
I see a postcard campaign, by the way, just operated on. And it's just a picture of a heart is what it is. It's just that. And
Just operated on. Just closed
operated
up.
on. And I could see people picking up the postcard and going, is that John? Oh, well, you can't see his face. You turn it over. Oh, it is John. It's a testimonial on the backside. I don't know why I went down that path, but I couldn't help.
There's going to be a heart surgeon out there that's listening. That's going to be like, I have an idea. And we're going to get a message years down the road and be like, you guys have no idea. My business has transformed because I just had this idea of like postcards, and it was incredible.
Yeah. There's a lot of organizations that would make that not happen. Sharing people's medical,
Yeah, there's probably some HIPAA violations that would
be all
that.
over this postcard campaign. They'd be like, no.
Let's look at this podcast as an example, Garrett. Like, some people get into podcasting because like, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to get quick business out of it. It's going to be amazing, right? We've been podcasting for over 6 years, right? Yeah. And we got into it because we love doing it. And we're like, hey, there's something here that we can build over time, right? And now, yes, you always look at the analytics to say, hey, what's working right now? But the intention is not to then just be like, this is a quick little dose to try to find the right now realtors who are going to come work with us, right? It's like, no, we want to build this long-term value and relationship with our listeners. And I love doing it, right? And the people out there who you guys listen to our podcast and you listen to other podcasts, there's reasons why you're still listening to those podcasts, because the hosts were in it for the long term. They knew that they would take time to build it and they love doing it, versus the ones where you like listen to it and you're like, yeah, I don't know. And then you see like, oh, there's no new episode. Wait, what happened to that show? Yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't see the results out of it, so I stopped doing it. It's like, well, that's kind of a bummer. So I don't know.
And it's a lot of real estate relationships. It's a lot of the opportunities that, I mean, Matt, if we could talk, the amount of people that I have had say to me over the years, I wish I would have started building the relationships a long time ago. Like I was so in my younger years, so focused on finding the next transaction, finding the next deal. What is the next thing I can do that's going to put me into a situation where someone's going to need my services to buy or sell? And when they all of a sudden figure out like, oh, that's how these relationships work over time. This is the long play that we were talking about when we started this whole thing. I wish I would have done this a long time ago. And the interesting thing is they can turn it on fairly quick. When you understand the dynamics of it and you understand how it works, it doesn't have to be that long of a play. The long play side of it means is the long-term stability that you can build in this business that will weather any storm, anything that's crazy out there. Because the crazier it gets, what I've found with the relationships, the more people actually turn to the people that they trust and say, hey, Matt, I need help with real estate right now. Can you help me? I don't need anything uncertain in my world right now. I need somebody I trust, and I trust you. It's also what they'll do for their friends. When they see a friend that needs help in a crazy world where there's lots of confusion going on, they basically say, hey, before you go talk to anybody, let me get you in touch with Matt. He's my realtor. He's awesome. He'll take amazing care of you. Those people are more likely to be like, thank you. Thank you, because I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to look. We don't have a realtor. And all of a sudden, the stability comes in. And it's why we saw a lot of people do a lot of business in 2024. Jeff Smith, who we talked about earlier on a previous episode here, prime example. Ted Bash, a prime example. We've got some people we're going to be sharing here coming up that really have mastered the relationship side of the business. And the stability that comes out of it is amazing. It's amazing.
Definitely is. Well,
so we can put a bow on this. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody who tuned in and listened today. If you like this episode, share it with friends. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's extremely helpful for us, and basically being able to get this out to a larger audience and more people is actually the subscriptions there is really, really, really helpful. If you want to learn more about what we do outside of the podcast, Matt and I both coach. We coach one-on-one, and we have group coaching inside Life at 10 Tenths. You can come join us. Look in the 11 Circle. The 11 Circle is our group coaching program where every single week we get together and we are either getting the group together to share ideas and to grow together, or we are bringing in people from the outside to share their expertise with our group. And love all of you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you tons. And Matt, if I miss anything, jump in. But
guys, go off and have an amazing day. Come back for the next episode because it's going to be just as good, if not better. And we appreciate you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.